On that note, we're going to our next segment where, we have time with our correspondents. And this time we're going to the Ada enclave, which has been hit by the cholera outbreak.
There is an interesting twist to it. A demarcation here at the shore where residents have resulted in easing themselves. To my left, I'm told it's reserved for men, and to my right for females. So I'm told that on a normal day you would come here to see persons in what you could possibly describe as a parade of them easing themselves here at the Wenya Sea side.
The attempt to provide a toilet facility in the community has been met with multiple challenges.
This is part of the 12 cubicle toilet facility expected to respond to the sanitary needs of the people here in the Azizanya community. But the project has stalled for the past 12 years. It's essentially become a white elephant because of the wet nature of the community. The manhole, we are told, is filled with water because the land is really waterlogged.
The situation is no different at Totope, a neighboring town of Azizanya, where residents depend largely on these springs for their domestic activities, including cooking without purification.
There are peculiar challenges we have identified in this area, and one of them has to do with a low water table, and it's known to the assembly and others, and so that presents challenges, particularly with open defecation, because if our understanding is that if you even dig a very shallow well, it will get filled immediately with water. So for them, providing toilet facilities will not be as simple as there will be in other places, and it is the reason why, if we're not careful, this can also spread out or get out of hand. So it's important that we look at these situations and address them well.
Christian Ajujodi, one of the fortunate individuals who recovered from cholera, explained that the situation has led to frequent communal labor by residents.
Som panko ba mami kan da Friday ama che komna le bangema kolo be mine a cho komna le ba ihe ga mambi mo fu ake fono kama hionge mami awo kola fuala ajio ni ke ya wo manya la pio komna le bange wo manya kolo eji yem ke bo mi ke ha wo kan komna le ba na a che ke ha wo e po wa he piele aboke adra mami ho e ha we ne yo ne pale se mami ke ha wo pio wa hia pio ngewa mami ko pio wa be toilet ko nge ko wa be he ko kom ne wa gba nge peji wonya le sa kan wa hia wa loko wa be hio na ne wa ma hio no ma gbo nge mam pio jan wa pe fali ke wonya ne wa ya ne wa gba won sa kan wa na toilet nge wa mam loko ji wa
cholera spares no one, not even 4-year-old Derek, not his real name, who was affected. As part of measures to contain the spread, the Ghana Health Service and the Ada East and West District Assemblies have initiated measures to enforce safety directives at public gatherings through a joint task force.
During COVID, we put in some of these measures. So, for example, instead of people sitting to have the buffet style eating, the recommendation was to pack. Now we have, the recommendation is that, as much as possible, let's not even distribute food there, but even if food is going to be shared there, it should be such that people take it away. But the emphasis is more on the hand washing, and so the district assembly provides facilities for hand washing at these funerals. So at this meeting, for example, it's been agreed. So together with the police, the environmental health department of the assembly and the Ghana Health Service, they have task teams that will be going to the 3 major towns as they go through the weekend of funeral festivities to ensure that these hand washing facilities are available and people are using them so that we can reduce the risk of spread.
Dr. Lai also called on relevant stakeholders to urgently address the sanitary crisis in Ada to curb the spread of the deadly disease.
I want to also take advantage to ask for support, particularly from our international partners, to address the issues around access to water and sanitation facilities so that we can be able to deal with this outbreak.
They say cleanliness is next to godliness, but residents in parts of Adan do not only need this as a path to heaven, but a means to survive on earth. The recent cholera outbreak has prompted the need to urgently address the insanitary condition in this enclave. For Channel One News, my name is Fauzu Masaudu.
And Fauzi Masaudi joins us in studio so that we can discuss this report more. Fauzi, thanks for joining us. And welcome to Sunday Breakfast.
Well.
What do you mean by well?
It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, yes. It's your first time, right?
Who rejects a breakfast on a Sunday?
Hey.
Fauzi is my guy, and this is good to be fun because I'll have to restrain myself a lot. But he's one of our stans. He likes the show a lot, so it's interesting that we have him today.
Yes.
I hope you had an amazing week.
Yes, so to speak. And it's a pleasure to come on a show that I've been watching religiously.
Wow.
The last time I told you that I never miss breakfast, the daily weekend edition, and Sunday breakfast.
Wow. We're elated to have you.
We're grateful.
Yeah, elated to have you.
We're grateful.
Except that what you're coming to talk about
I know.
is not so pleasant news.
Absolutely, that's the twist of it.
So you were in Adan on Friday, and
Yes,
Adan was
yes.
the whole. I think Adan West was the first place to have recorded a case of cholera, and it has escalated.
Escalated to other districts.
Describe the whole enclave for us with regards to whether they have toilets, whether they have water, potable water.
So the thing is that you rightly mentioned, it started in Adan West, and then it's escalated to other parts of the Adan enclave. So now Adan East seems to be even have record more numbers. So Adan East has recorded 37 cases, and Adan West remains 6 with 2 fatalities. But there was a case also that was recorded in Bunkatamanso, and I think that we have not thrown much light on that case. And from the story that I found, I gathered that that was more like a transported case. We understand the person was from Nigeria. So as part of the control measures that the Ghana Health Service is putting in place, they want to even engage at the ECOWAS level to see how they can also tackle the issue within the neighboring communities. But again, as you stated, I think that the media and any other person talking about this issue of cholera is so fixated really on the numbers without talking much about the root causes of all these things. This will be the third time I'm filing a report from Adan, and anytime I visit there, I learn something new about the realities of inequities that Ghana is facing. So, Azizania, for instance, is one of the epicenters of the cholera outbreak. For a community of over 1,000 people, they do not have a single toilet facility.
Not even one.
Not even one. This is worrying. They depend on very unsafe sources of water, so they have boreholes. Some of them are not even mechanized. They have uncovered wells, and they also those who have the well withdrawal depend on sachet water for their daily activities. The other parts of the communities that have access to water from the Ghana Water Limited, it's very expensive for obvious reasons, and this is a community with very high poverty rates and whatnot. So these really are the realities in the affected communities.
When
So I
you
think
went, go ahead.
In your report, you made mention that they've resorted to open defecation,
Yes.
and
And I think you saw in the reports, I mentioned that it was a reality check, really, because just right at the time that we got to the shores, we saw some, two residents defecating, and they cannot be faulted so much because that's really the only alternative. And interestingly, there is a demarcation at the shore. So just like at the visiting the washroom, we have
also they have stalls at the beach.
for men and then women. So this just goes to tell you that they have come to terms with the realities. And in my report, you realize that I visited one. So for the past, they said for the past 12 years, one
project that was constructed with the aim of, addressing this challenge has stalled. And that's because they say the community is waterlogged. So even the manhole that they constructed is filled with water. So the project has stalled for the past 12 years. So we went inside, realized that it's in a deplorable state. The toilet bowls are broken and whatnot. So it's a problem that needs serious intervention.
Wow. You know, we know that cholera is exacerbated by sanitation or sanitary conditions, right? And very poor sanitary conditions. We also know that crowded urban spaces, when there's crowded urban space without proper planning. And making sure that the space is safe, right? You could also have instances of cholera. And also in the past, we've heard about how poor or unsafe drinking water could also lead. I quite recall in 2014 or 16, there were major cholera outbreaks in the country. And now, but in the aftermath of that, some work was done by the Ghana Health Service, so they sort of manage it. And now we are hearing about it again. And I think there was a story filed on Thursday on radio about the same as Zanya place, where they spoke to the health director or so. You get a frustration in his comments. But still with you, Fauzu, just create for us a picture of the community visitor. You talk about the lack of public restrooms.
Yes.
For which reason now they have to resort to using the beaches and other places. What's the economic activity like in the area? What do the people there find themselves doing most?
So it's predominantly a fishing and farming community because they are along the coast. And typical of most coastal areas, poverty rate is glaringly high. So
I like that.
Yeah, so you go and then, people are not even really, educated, and I'm talking about formal education for obvious reasons, and settlements. And that place is one of the places that was affected by the tidal waves. Yes,
okay.
And then so most of the people in the community actually are living in makeshift structures.
Wow.
Right.
So it's a double whammy, if you ask me. They are dealing with the issue of
were they
poverty.
affected by the spillage?
Yeah, parts. Yeah,
parts of
Ada was affected.
Does it look like they've recovered from the devastating effect of it?
It really doesn't look like it, because like I told, recovery should be in its entirety. If you have people who are still sleeping in a not so decent structures, you cannot conclude that they have completely recovered. And so really that's the sense we got from there. And the type of even food that they consume. So I spoke to one woman. There is a water body, more like a stream over there, and because they do not have regulated dumping sites, they dispose refuse indiscriminately. So you see at the back of someone's house, for instance, this one, it's like one of the unregulated dumping sites, and there is another one that just by it you see people cooking, and the stream, one of the streams is also used as a dumping site, and it is also a catching place for fisher folk who are into tilapia.
Oh, okay.
And so I spoke to one of the fishmongers, and to her, this is it. She argued that because of their method of preserving the fish,
it's not like some sewage reservoir that you mistaken for a stream.
No. So this is so you think it's a sewage reservoir, but they tell this is actually exactly this is like a cash cow for those who are into tilapia fishing.
So she was telling you that their method of preservation which was smoking,
which is smoking, exactly. Okay. They smoke in very high hot temperature. So she argued that because of that, she thinks that really the fish they put on the market are safe for consumption. That's where. And so this goes back
does the fish come all the way to Accra, or they sell it within their anchor? I just want to make sure that.
So anyway, you cannot be too sure of the supply chain, because you cannot be too sure of the supply chain, because someone can just buy it from there and bring it to Accra for patronage.
In your working on this report, right? I'm sure you try to engage authorities in the area, the assembly, you know, that's a municipal assembly, right?
It's a district assembly.
Yeah. What did they say to you in response to, I mean, the general concerns you were raising about the cholera outbreak and the general filth, right? Because I'm watching this and I can only imagine what else your camera didn't capture.
Absolutely.
So talk to us about their responses to you with regards to filth in the area and what they were doing to curb the growing rate of cholera in there.
So unfortunately, we made several attempts to speak to the DC, that's Sarah Pobi. It was unsuccessful. We tried Samson Tete also from the Adan West. Sarah Pobi is for Adan East and Samson is for Adan West. We tried both. It was unsuccessful. In fact, I even tried reaching out to Comfort Mdoyo Kujo, who is the MP for Adan. That was also unsuccessful. But I spoke to Dr. Dennis Lai. He's the Deputy Director of Surveillance for the Ghana Health Service. And I mean, he spent most of his recent times in Adan because of the outbreak. So even at the time that we visited the place, coincidentally, they were having a dissect meeting. So more like an emergency response meeting to address some of these things. And clearly so, he mentioned that even though the Ghana Health Service is putting in place measures to control or curb the spread through routine surveillance and whatnot, now they want to focus more on the root cause of the problem. That's the sanitary situation, because that has even been a hindrance for them. You go to a whole pharmacy and they do not even have a hand sanitizer.
So what are they selling at the farms? Just para?
You can say that. They do not have a hand, and that's worrying. That means that their efforts in even trying to curb this outbreak is more like a wild goose chase, because if you
don't have the most basic
things you need in containing the spread, it means that it will yield to zilch. I
mean, they don't even have potable water.
They don't have potable water, toilet, and you know, their case is even more peculiar, because if a toilet facility project has stalled for the past 12 years because of the waterlogged nature of the area, it means that we need a more expedited effort. That's, I mean, from authorities in finding. It has to do with the topography, the nature of the land, and I'm very sure that if they're able to engage experts in such regard, they can find an effective solution in tackling this issue. The issue of Veronica Bakke, and yesterday they started a joint task force operation. So as part of the measures to curb the spread, they have initiated some prohibition, some ban on public gatherings. So they are saying that it will be too drastic to completely ban public gathering, but there should be some measures. There should be social distancing like we saw during the COVID times. There should be hand washing. Food and drinks shouldn't be served at public gatherings, particularly funeral, because I'm told that every weekend in the community that we attended, there is a funeral. In fact, funeral is like a funfair over there. Wow. So, so these are some of the measures. So they started the operation by the task force yesterday to ensure that residents in the community are really adhering to some of these safety protocols. So
the mandate of the task force is to ensure that there are Veronica buckets.
There are Veronica buckets. People are observing the safety protocols.
But what kind of water will be in the Veronica buckets if they don't have potable water?
That is a question I also asked. So they are trying to get. He told me that the district assembly is trying to get and provide them water. So. At Big Adan, which is like a more developed community within the Adan enclave, they have access to potable water. So I understand that they are trying to provide some in the interim as more like a temporary measure. They are trying to provide water to some of the affected communities in such time as part.
You know, 2 lives have been lost, right?
Yes.
And even if it was just a life, it would have been as bad as, you know.
It's one too many.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't know how many more lives are going to be lost as a result of this. And for me, it's sad and rather heartbreaking, really, watching this report. Because imagine living in a community for all these years and you still don't have a simple place of convenience, right? And these people are Ghanaians. They pay their taxes. You know, they vote, right? For some reason, ballot boxes can reach them, but
water can't.
Water, safe drinking water, and a proper decent, you know, place of convenience can't reach them. And I've always maintained that these problems are multifaceted, right? Because, it's a coastal area. Coastal areas are known for their, ecotourism beauty, right? We should, the Ministry of the Tourism Ministry should be interested in developing Ada because of the what we seek to gain, the viability of the place. But we've not seen that level of interest from the Tourism Ministry. The Sanitation Ministry, they need to be answering questions, right? The Water, Works and Housing Ministry, like Fauzu said, why are residents in the area still living in shacks and makeshift wooden structures?
After all
right?
the devastation that they faced.
We know that communities in Ada East, Ada West were affected by the dam spillage, right? And the ministry promised that they were going to find decent shelters for these people. That hasn't been done. So Tourism Ministry, Sanitation Ministry, Water, Works and Housing Ministry, right? So it's multifaceted, and you expect that government will be taking these issues very seriously. But unfortunately, we don't see that.
Let's talk about the 2 deaths. Do we know the ages of these people?
So we visited the one in Ada East. We were not given a precise age, but it's within the 30s.
So it's an adult.
Yes, he's an adult actually, and we couldn't get to the other. We couldn't get an information on
the second deceased person. So what else did the Ghana Health Service tell you?
So the Ghana Health Service, then it's actually worried. So you know that in Nigeria is still grappling with a protracted cholera outbreak, and that is because
their population, right?
Their population,
their urban population,
their urban population, absolutely. And some of the root causes are
also filled. So there's urban population.
There's urban population filled, exactly. Issue of sanitation, hygiene, and whatnot. So then it fears that if we do not promptly tackle some of these issues, we may be facing, a similar woe to what Nigeria is facing currently. So they want, and the Ghana Health Service, I chanced on one of their situational reports at the early stages, and some of the challenges they highlighted has to do with the lack of even funding to tackle the issue of this cholera outbreak.
Because they have to tackle it from the root cause.
From the root cause, they talk about so there is one community called Zenu. So as part of the measures to control the spread, they have created isolation centers at some of the public health facilities. But the Zenu Polyclinic doesn't have an isolation center. And it seems to be one of the places, one of the key treatment centers. So they fear that if they get overwhelmed, it could get out of hand. And it comes back to the issue of funding. Again, issue of, proper hand washing materials, Veronica buckets and whatnot. All these things need to be tackled at the local level. So the district assemblies and whatnot should be tackling these things, but they also raise issues about funding. So it's really serious.
Like I was saying, there's Tourism Ministry, Sanitation Ministry, Water Works and Housing Ministry. And also importantly, the health ministry, they need to come together and find a lasting solution.
Fauzu, thank you so much for this.
Before we let Fauzu take leave of us, we asked the question, right?
Yes. I've seen a lot of messages.
He's been on the campaign trail. Actually.
Yes, he's actually
best suited for this question, actually. Because you've been
I'm sensing mischief.
I'm on the NBC campaign trail. So that's actually
one of the persons covering the former president and the country's main opposition leader. So we asked our viewers this morning what they make of crowd sizes at campaign events, right? And whether, in their view, it translates into votes or would translate into votes. So you've seen a lot of campaign events. You've been to quite a number of John Mahama's rallies and mini campaigns and all of that. What's like the crowd sizes like when you go there?
Judah, I was here to talk about cholera.
Well,
so honest, you want me to be honest?
Yes.
So I think that it's both ways. It's symbiotic. So there is this thing in political communication called the bandwagon theory. Someone will see, an undecided voter will see a crowd and think that, oh no, everyone wants to join the winning team. So it counts. But if as a politician you are so fixated on the crowd, thinking that they would automatically translate into votes, you may have the biggest shock of your life. And we've seen that in this country, even elsewhere in
Sir John said we should fear delegates.
So I think that, and I I have been following the NDC closely. I think that I like their strategy this time around, and this is my personal opinion. They have decentralized their strategy. So other than holding very mega rallies like we saw in the past elections, they are having stakeholder engagements. They are engaging with people. They are engaging with traditional authorities. So they are coming closer to the people other than holding mega rallies. And I think that everyone wants to feel important. And one thing I have observed throughout our tour is that John Mahama, during stakeholder engagement, he usually does more of listening than speaking.
Right.
So there are times that he will even say that he wants to have an in-camera session, no media. Do you get it? To have, an up close to one-on-one with them.
So in your opinion, so this time around, the GM crowds appear smaller because of his approach.
Because of his approach.
But you don't think there's a correlation between crowd sizes and how the election will turn out for you?
You cannot be too sure about that.
Interesting. So, viewers, the ball really is in your court. Just tell us what you think about it. Have you been to any rally before? You can add that as well, and you'll be glad.
Dude, in 2016, we saw what happened at Accra Sports Stadium. We saw the numbers NDC put John Mahama food.
See, that campaign was
massive.
And the icing on the cake, that was the icing on the cake. Do you get it?
And you go on to suffer the most humiliating defeat for a certain president.
Yeah.
In any election we've seen since our Fourth Republic.
Absolutely. So you cannot be too sure. In America, during the race between Hillary and Trump, we saw the likes of Beyonce, Lady Gaga, and whatnot. They
turned out for Hillary.
They turned out for Hillary.
I'm with her.
And in America, you know how huge these celebrities have. In fact, they are
demigod status.
They are demigod status, and for you to have someone like Beyonce and Lady Gaga supporting you and still lose
someone who said he came to talk about cholera.
You see the passion. Dude, let's go.
You cannot be really too sure about the numbers.
I like the angle it brings of 2016 because see, Charlie Shatta will go on the stage and drop Mahama paper. Then we thought they had won the election.
Everybody was singing. Mahama paper was like an anthem. Everyone, but Charlie Uncle Siaga, it was a smoke screen.
Wow. I hope God found you. Wow. It's always so exciting to have your colleagues in studio. He shared his opinion. We also want to hear from you. Quite a number of your messages have come in very briefly. This one says, our problem in Ghana now is ordinary food. We'll tell the government the hardship inflicted on us is enough. Very soon, they'll know their smoothness level. Okay, didn't add your name. This one from Hamza in Tamale says, good morning. I think crowd size matter. If your candidate is not attractive, no one will care to come out. DMB, that's Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, has the love upon all the struggles. JDM should better wake up because after his defeat, no one will sacrifice his future to fight for him. NDC have relaxed too much, and they think it's just either a win for them by hook or crook. Hamza from Tamale sends that one. Good morning, ChannelOne TV. This is Derek from Kwewu. Please remember that children and Jehovah's Witnesses people also attend campaigns. Also, there are people who attend all campaigns in their area, no matter the party involved. So I don't believe that the crowd has a strong correlation which translates into votes. And that one is from Derek, who is doing the watching in Kwewu. Shout outs to all the people in Kwewu. And we were supposed to go to Kwewu to eat jollof, but we didn't go.
We have
Derek,
to go. Derek will come and visit you.
Wow. Akoto Gameli, who is in Infansiman Girls watching the show, says, okay, he's talking to our, sent a message in reference to our earlier conversation with Pastor Cephas Haywood Amat. He says the pastor has failed and must be jailed for allowing a 16-year-old son to kill innocent people. What does he think he was doing? What did he think he was doing when he gave the car to the boy? Was it for fun? That was too bad of him as a parent and a pastor. A couple of your messages are coming in. Just keep them coming. We'll read all of it for you, and we'll try and have a little discussion about it before we go.